Absolutely. They're not going to be liable for all the responsibilities
and,
I've taken on
last
as a
week,
senator.
John and Ken made fun of me. They diminished my
No, John and Ken, bad boy.
But
Spanking.
Is he
What'd
even
they
a real
say?
candidate? And I mean, I didn't listen to the show. I had some people tell me about it later.
Right.
Is he even a real candidate? I don't take him seriously, so that's okay.
But you know what? They mention your name, so they play haters.
Well, that's it. And I think the other thing is that, they had a debate on Tuesday, and I think it was really the most unsenatorial activity I've ever seen engaged in my entire career.
Were you there, part of that debate?
No, and I'm really glad that I didn't
become part of that.
No, because it was an absolute circus. It was. I mean, I've seen high school class president debates more handled more professionally than that was, and it was just an hour of mudslinging, of talking over each other, and fanning the flames of people getting.
But are they really engaged with the issue? Now, going back to immigration, illegal immigration,
they definitely engage that issue, but from what level?
Right, because they're talking about creating that same level of bill here in California.
Yeah.
So that's why I thought it would be good to. Can we hold on a second?
Well, there's an issue from the. Let me just give you an update from the chat room.
Okay.
For one, HipHop Rivas is writing in. That's a fan of yours, Al. You may know them, and making some really good commentary there on Ustream. Thank you for HipHop Rivas pointing out that even though Al is an American, just because he gets brown, he gets asked about a legal immigration issue like he was a recent immigrant. And I know that's part of the whole thing. You have to bear that. It is thrusting you.
Well, that was the point that I was going to make. I wouldn't have gone on that show myself, because even though they would be making a claim that for whatever reason they decided when you do step out of line, they're going to put your head on a stick.
Right.
If I'd have gone on that show, the Hispanic community would have had my head, my arms, my legs, my everything on a bunch of sticks.
Why do you feel that?
Because the thing about it is, and this is the one thing that has really come out about this campaign, is that the laws are what the laws are. And our laws in this country in regards to immigration, when you compare them to Mexico's, are much more flexible. Some of Mexico's immigration laws are really draconian. And we're going in that direction, but I think that I understand why, because there's so much frustration in regards particularly to welfare recipients that are just becoming multi-generationally dependent.
That's been for years, though.
Yes, and so, but the thing about it is that this issue is starting to really, the tone of the rhetoric, sometimes it moves away from an issue of national security, sovereignty, personal responsibility, and accountability, and it turns into a name-calling contest of who can spew the meanest rhetoric. And I don't really necessarily believe that it's the public that wants to do that or has an inclination to do that, but particularly Ken and John are feeding that, knowing that there's a thread of that, there's a fiber of that in people to be easily riled up and to start gravitating towards that.
But I think, but wouldn't you agree that that's also ignorance? Because that's nationally, that's just like Ken and John.
What they're doing is they're feeding on this ignorance,
But they're not the only ones.
Well, they're a big culprit, and what I want to specifically say is, neither one of those three candidates should have gone on there without telling Ken and John that you are going to have to stop using the term anchor baby. Okay? And
what does anchor baby mean?
Well, to them,
That means you come across the border and have a baby so you can stay in the United States.
Exactly.
And they're trying to pass the bills now that says that children of illegal immigrants are also illegal. That's the next big political push. But this is the
thing about it, and let me be very, very clear about this. Okay, number one, this is a baby. It has no decision on where it's born. And the same people that are using this term are the same people that are sending me 100 postcards a day telling me there's 51 million children aborted since 1973. Okay, the child has no decision over where they're born. So what you're doing is you are racially slurring a first-generation American. And I want to make that perfectly clear to those three candidates that they should have let Ken and John know that, advertising a racial slur and mainstreaming that term and making people believe that it's an acceptable term is absolutely unsenatorial.
Absolutely.
That is what leadership is about, is being able to take a stand and letting people know when they're doing something wrong and explaining to people.
Because in every
wrong.
country, if we were to go to England and have a baby right now, that child would not be considered American.
No, it wouldn't.
Unless it's in the military and it's on military base,
right? And this is the
right?
dilemma that we have
Right.
with these children that are born here because of the huge mistake that their parents made in coming into this country illegally. I mean, I'm not absolving the parents
No,
of
I'm
the
listening,
mistake,
but go
but
ahead.
the children are first-generation Americans. And what you're doing is you're relegating them to a second-class citizenship or second-class status right out of the gate. And you're doing it with the clear intention of connotating, of drawing up all these negative connotations of being on welfare, of not being able to
Right.
speak English, of not being able
Right.
to assimilate into society. Well, at that point, why would you try if you're going to be called that all your life? And I've had emails come to me from these Ken and John listeners saying, "We've never heard of you. Why don't you drop out? Why is a quote unquote
Right.
anchor baby like you running for my U.S. Senate?" Well,
See,
guess
but that's
what?
exactly why we love about you at hiphoprepublican.tv and .com, because you're connecting to what they don't want. They don't want you here. They don't want us here. They don't want this show to be broadcast because they want to control the rhythm, the style, the energy, what's said and what's heard, and we're tired of it. There's people like you and me who are out there, and we see what's going on with the establishment in Detroit and Texas and Atlanta. And because this show, even though we're in California and you're in California, this show goes nationwide. It goes worldwide. We have people from China and Japan and even Switzerland that watch our show. And you're absolutely right on the money. Let me ask you this, though. Going back to, you say you support the bill. I mean, I know there are a lot of things you don't like that's going on currently, the tagging, but, I mean, what is it about the bill that you think is necessary?
Well, the thing about it is for local DAs and sheriff's departments to say that they can't enforce the federal law, I think it's just a foolish statement. They're enforcing the federal law when they, take somebody in for a cocaine possession. They're enforcing the federal law when, somebody gets arrested for, any number of crimes.
Right.
This is
why all of a sudden are they doing it now? Why now?
Because I think the frustration with the crime,
Okay.
the
Of
obvious,
illegal immigrants coming into Arizona.
yes, and like I said,
What about people employing illegal immigrants and capitalizing off that?
Well,
I mean,
think
we're
that's-
Republicans. We believe in
The
capitalism.
public is subsidizing those low wages.
How so?
Because these people aren't being paid enough to be able to maintain a lifestyle in these big cities. And so what
Do you
ends up
feel that they're
happening is
discriminating?
they end up having to get on welfare.
Do you feel that they're discriminating?
Who?
The people who don't support the bill. The people who don't support the bill feel that there's discrimination from those who support the bill.
Well, I think that a lot of times, personally, I never felt discriminated against my entire life until this election, to be frankly honest with you.
Really?
I've never heard some of the rhetoric that I've heard. But, I just let it, I know who I am, and it lets me know that, they at least are, I'm making a difference out there. I'm pushing the limits. And if it weren't, and I've talked to my mom about it quite a bit, because it does sometimes get under your skin, especially when you're up there and you're in your rhythm and you're giving a speech and then somebody says something, or you get home and you think you're going to get an email saying you did great, here's a donation, and they end up, spewing some sort of, really divisive rhetoric. And, my mom said, the reason you're there is because God put you right there, because there's very few people that would be able to stand up to that. They would have already quit a long time ago. But because you know who you are, you don't have to get angry. You just have to reach for your confidence.
Amen.
And so I think that
You got good kahunas.
That's it.
Get those kahunas. You hold yourself and say, I'm going to make it happen.
That's it.
I'm with you. Being African American, being a Republican in California is not always so easy. They want to put you in a box. They want you to say and do what they want. And you're like, I'm just sticking to the facts.